They were walking casually through the heart of the mall when Max came to a sudden stop. Without warning, he erupted into a series of sharp, urgent barks. His entire body tensed as his gaze zeroed in on a woman standing by the food court, pregnant woman. His barking was fierce, like he'd just spotted someone dangerous. The woman froze, startled, her eyes wide with fear. Around them, the mall's usual noise began to fade into murmurs and gasps. People turned to look, some raising their phones to record the unexpected scene. Max's barking only grew louder, echoing off the high ceilings, drawing more attention. Officer Harris, caught off guard, tightened his grip on the leash and leaned closer to his partner. "Max, what is it?" he muttered, concern flickering in his voice. But Max was locked in, his focus intense, his body rigid. He wasn't just reacting. He was warning. The pregnant woman looked around helplessly, her expression shifting from surprise to confusion, then fear. She took a cautious step back, holding her stomach protectively, clearly overwhelmed by the unwanted attention. "Why is he barking at me?" she called out, her voice trembling. "I don't understand. I'm just shopping." Harris tried to keep the situation calm, but Max wasn't making it easy. The dog's growl rumbled low in his throat, and his eyes never left the woman. No amount of coaxing could redirect his attention. People whispered nearby, trying to make sense of what was happening. Did she do something? Is the dog trained to detect drugs or something else? A couple of security guards had arrived, exchanging uncertain glances as Max's barking continued. Harris gave them a quick nod but didn't take his eyes off the woman. He knelt beside Max, speaking in a soft, commanding tone, trying to soothe him, but nothing changed. Max wasn't budging. His instincts were screaming that something was off. The woman looked on the verge of tears. "Please, I haven't done anything," she said, her voice cracking. "Why is this happening?" Her breathing was fast, her body trembling as she tried to understand what had triggered such a fierce reaction. Around them, a small crowd had formed. Parents were pulling their kids away while others watched, some with curiosity, some with unease. Harris stood, torn between trusting his dog and wanting to believe the woman. Max had never acted like this without cause, and that knowledge weighed on him. Another officer approached quietly. "Do we bring her in?" he asked. Harris hesitated. The woman didn't look like a threat, just scared, confused, vulnerable. Still, Max's behavior couldn't be ignored. Harris looked at the woman and nodded gently. "Ma'am, we need to speak with you privately," he said, his voice calm but firm, "just to make sure everything's okay." Two officers stepped forward to assist as the woman, visibly shaken, agreed to go with them. Max stayed close, still on high alert, sniffing the air as if trying to locate something no one else could sense. They led her to a quiet room near the mall's security office. The woman sat down slowly, both hands resting on her stomach. Her eyes darted between the officers, and her voice quivered. "Can someone please tell me what's going on?" "Ma'am, I know this is overwhelming," Officer Harris said carefully, "but our K-9 is highly trained to detect very specific threats, drugs, explosives, stress, even danger. He's never reacted like this without cause." A female officer stepped into the room, her voice calm and kind. "Do you have any identification on you?" she asked. The woman nodded quickly, her hands trembling as she searched through her purse. She handed over her ID. Everything appeared legitimate. The name matched her demeanor. Her story made sense. Still, Max wouldn't settle. He was growling. Now, low and persistent, pacing with growing intensity, his eyes never leaving the woman's abdomen. Officer Harris glanced at his partner, troubled. "It's like he's trying to warn us, but about what?" The officers exchanged glances, feeling the pressure of something just beneath the surface, something they hadn't yet uncovered. Then, without warning, the woman gasped in pain and clutched her stomach. Her knees buckled slightly as she leaned against the table. "Ah," she cried out, Something's wrong. Please, help me. Call for medical, one officer shouted. The female officer was instantly at the woman's side, trying to keep her calm. Are you in labor? I don't know, the woman said, breathlessly. It doesn't feel right. It hurts. Please. Harris called for paramedics, while Max whined anxiously, still circling, occasionally letting out short, sharp barks. He stayed close to the woman, sniffing the air, more alert than ever. Moments later, EMTs rushed in with a stretcher. They began assessing the woman, checking her vitals, and gently feeling her abdomen. Her heart rate's elevated, one paramedic said. We need to transport her now. As they began lifting her onto the stretcher, Max suddenly barked with new intensity. He lunged forward slightly, sniffed at her midsection, then growled, deep and menacing. The lead paramedic paused. His hand hovered near her belly. He looked at Harris, then back at the woman. Something's off, he muttered. Harris crouched beside Max. What is it, buddy? What are you sensing? The paramedic leaned in, placing a careful hand on the woman's abdomen. He pressed gently, then again with more focus. His brow furrowed. There's no movement, he said quietly. I don't feel a baby. Everyone froze. What? The woman stammered. No, I'm pregnant. I'm due. Any day. Her voice cracked, her words spilling out with panic. Another paramedic pulled out a portable ultrasound. The officers stood silently as the screen lit up. They waited and waited. Nothing. No heartbeat. No sign of life. No baby. The paramedic looked at the screen, then at Harris. She's not pregnant, he said, but something's strapped under there. Officer Harris took a careful step forward. Ma'am, he said gently, we need you to lift your shirt. No, she sobbed, shaking her head. Please. I didn't have a choice. With as much care as possible, the officers helped reveal the truth. Beneath her clothing, carefully strapped to her torso, was a bundled infant, silent, still, but alive. The air left the room as everyone stared in disbelief. She stole a baby, one officer murmured. Max let out one firm bark, a final alert that confirmed what he'd known all along. The woman collapsed into a chair, tears pouring. Down her face, I didn't mean to hurt anyone, she cried. I lost my baby a year ago. I couldn't handle the grief. I just wanted to feel like a mother again. Her pain was raw, but the weight of her actions couldn't be ignored. The paramedics quickly checked the infant. He's okay, one of them said. Dehydrated but stable. Child Protective Services were called immediately, and a search began to locate the child's real parents. Hours later, a young couple arrived at the hospital. Their eyes were red, their hands trembling. When they saw their baby alive, they dropped to their knees in relief, thanking everyone, especially the officers, and Max. Harris knelt beside the dog and rubbed his head gently. Good job, Max, he whispered. You saved a life today.